In December, the 1977th year, an unprecedented space experiment began.
But near Earth orbit, citizens of the Soviet Union, Yuri Romanenko and Georgy Dreco flew on a scientific mission. They had to stay in space for more than a quarter of a year and fly in orbit almost the same distance as the road to Mars. A month later, the expeditions of Vladimir Janibek and Oleg Makarov began in the same orbit for 5 days. A month later, on his way to the orbiting station, a cargo ship with fuel, food, letters left. But the family was preparing another start for mankind.
A new meaning of the science as well. At the Yuri Gagarin Cosmonaut Training Center, the commander of the crew of the Soviet Union, Alexei Gabriev, and the pilot Vladimir Rybin,
a foreigner of Czechoslovak, continued to train somewhere near the edge of the atmosphere. For the 4th month of training, Gabriev will say, "We have a family in mind." And the market will write to the mother in Czechoslovakia, "These people make me feel at home." But the main thing is, of course, the flight. The commander was well aware of the measure of his personal responsibility for training Vladimir. And in his training, he led him on his way into space without letting go of himself. Holy day. I'll explain everything. Gabriev and Relig worked with the Soviet Union's 2 heroes, Nikolai Rukavishnikov and the engineers major, Sir Walter, for playing with pepper beetles. Icon. The child, as he said, was lucky that the commander was the most hard-working man in the world, and that he had been working in space for a month and knew the bottoms. Every screw of an orbital station like salad. He did. The entire long track of training was carried out by an international squad until the emergency situations were resolved when they returned to the ground. Work in space is still the most dangerous profession. The commander worked well with Rybin. Gabriev immediately appreciated his chained analytical mind, knowledge of mathematics, physics, chemistry. And all that Vladimir learned was what he saw on Earth, where space was born, where Tsiolkovsky lived, who dreamed of an international space brotherhood. It was all for the market at his university. The silence of the Leninian cabinet in the Kremlin recalled its idea of the great power of proletarian solidarity can fulfill the most precious wishes of mankind. When it comes to the cooperation of socialist countries, it's not just a build-up, it's a build-up. He spoke at the meeting of the leaders of the Socialist Academy of Sciences, Leonid Ilyich Brezhnev. The first international space launch was led by a delegation, Joseph Leonard, member of the Bureau of the HRC. The delegation was met by the heads of the Cosmonaut Training Center. Chairman of the Interspace Council of the USSR Academy of Sciences, Petrov, Soviet specialists. Among the guests is the president of the Czechoslovak Academy of Sciences, Yaroslav Udiuk. Preparations for the first international flight have been completed. I think that space is beginning a new phase of working together for exploration of outer space. Who's gonna continue the hard work that Interkurtman started? Such creative, useful cooperation and work in outer space will be a new testimony to the friendship of our peoples. But it will be a testimony to the advancement of our country's science. But to prove it is the unbreakable and lasting friendship of the communist parties and peoples as ours. These words of Vladimir Alexandrovich Shatylov, the head of the Soviet cosmonaut training, served as a guide to many participants in the International Interspace Program for those at the Earth's status of spacecraft. A day has come that Ruda's newspaper will call the Star Hour of the Commonwealth Socialist. Not you. Dude. In an orbit where Romanenko and Greco continued to live and work, the first international crew was to carry out what was needed for the national economy of their countries.
Scientific Comrade Chairman of the State Commission.
The train arrived for this flight at my first crew and Colonel Bulgarin. The Soviet Union has provided an opportunity for a third country in human history to enter outer space. Here's the flight, Yuri Gagarina. The Communist Party and the Soviet government appealed to all people. We regard the achievements of our people as well as those of all humankind as the achievements of space exploration. We are happy to place them in the service of all peoples, for the sake of progress, happiness, and the good of all people on Earth. On March 3, 10 minutes Moscow time on the night side of the planet was docked by the USDT with the Salyut-6 orbital complex. 27 to go. Haha. How's the hawk coming? Show some behavior. Chapter. Hawk. 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 When the first wave of meetings between the long-term residents of Cosmos Yuri Romanenko and Georgia Greco with Alexei Gabarev and Vladimir Kramnik is settled, work will begin on a tight schedule of the research program. But at these moments, the chick was thinking about Prague, the 1061st year of Prague, then met Yuri Gagarin as her national hero. With strength in space, the Czechoslovak Juris Gagarin, Vladimir Kramnik, flew over Prague for 20 years. The time will come to meet their first astronauts: Berlin and Warsaw, Budapest, Sofia, Bucharest, Havana, Ulaanbaatar. The international crew warmly congratulated the Secretary General of the KPSSCC, the chairman of the presidency of the Supreme Soviet of the USSR, Comrade No Brezhnev, and the Secretary General of the CPCCC, President Chase, Sir Gustavy Gusev. They wished the astronauts a safe return to their homeland. March 10th.
At 1630 hours Moscow time, parachutes opened over the international crew. No. Oh, no.
They worked hard in orbit for 7 space days. They were still living their experiments, their observations, and their first words on Earth were like things in orbit with Jura and their wives.
Later, near the Earth's orbit, there will always be peaceful exploration of space as a common road for all mankind.